Read book Handbook for Mankind หนังสือของท่านพุทธทาสภิกขุ Handbook for Mankind ภาษาไทยก็คือคู่มือมนุษย์เดี๋ยวเราจะอ่านเป็นภาษาอังกฤษรอบที่2อ่านเพื่อฝึกฝนเรียนรู้ภาษาอังกฤษแล้วก็หลักธรรมคำสอนของพระพุทธเจ้าที่ถ่ายทอดโดยหนังสือของท่านพุทธทาสภิกขุเล่มนี้ Handbook for Mankind ครั้งที่แล้วอ่านถึงหน้า20ก็จะเริ่มที่ประโยคนี้ Buddhism is a system designed to bring a technical knowledge inseparable from its technique of practice and organized practical understanding of the true nature of things or what is what. If you keep this definition in mind, you should have no difficulty understanding Buddhism. ก็พุทธศาสนาพุทธเนี่ยเป็นหลักเกี่ยวกับพุทธเนี่ยเป็นระบบที่ออกแบบมาให้นำความรู้ทางด้านวิธีการนะที่ไม่สามารถแบ่งแยกได้ออกมาจากวิธีการของการปฏิบัติหรือการทำความเข้าใจการฝึกปฏิบัติอย่างเป็นระบบนะเกี่ยวกับหลักธรรมชาติความจริงของสิ่งต่างๆหรือ what is what อะไรคืออะไรถ้าหากเราเข้าใจความหมายนี้นะเราก็จะเข้าใจหลักพุทธนะได้ไม่ยาก Examine yourself and see whether or not you know what is what. Even if you know what you are yourself, what life is, what work, duty, livelihood, money, possessions, honor, and fame are, would you dare to claim that you know everything? เราต้องตรวจสอบตัวเองนะว่าเราไม่ว่าเราจะรู้หรือไม่รู้อะไรก็ตามถ้าหากแม้ว่าเราจะรู้เกี่ยวกับตัวเราเองนะว่าชีวิตคืออะไรการทำงานคืออะไรหน้าที่คืออะไรความเป็นอยู่คือรายละเอียดการดำรงชีวิตอยู่หรือเงินอาชีพการครอบครองไม่ใช่อาชีพการครอบครองเกียรติยศชื่อเสียงเรากล้าที่จะอ้างได้ไหมว่าเรารู้ทุกอย่าง If you really knew what is what, we would never act inappropriately. And if we always acted appropriately. It is certainty that we would never be subject to suffering. As it is, we are ignorant of true nature of things. So we behave more or less inappropriately, and suffering results accordingly. Buddhist practice is designed to teach us how things really are. To know this in all clarity is to attain the fruit of the path, the fruit, the fruit of the path, perhaps even the final fruit, nirvana, because this very knowledge is what destroys the defilements. When we come to know what is what, or the true nature of things, disenchantment with things takes the place of fascination, and deliverance from suffering comes about automatically. At the moment, we are practicing at a stage where we still do not know what things are really like. In particular, at the stage of not yet realizing that all things are impermanent and not selves. We don't as yet realize that life, all the things that we become infatuated with, like desire and rejoice over, is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not self. It is for this reason that we become infatuated with those things, liking them, desiring them, rejoicing them over them, grasping at them, and clinging to them. When by following the Buddhist method, we come to know things are right, to see clearly that they are all impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not selves, that there is really nothing about things that might make it worth attaching ourselves to them. Then there will immediately come about slipping free from the controlling power of those things. Essentially, the Buddha's teaching, as we have it in the Tipitaka, is nothing but the knowledge of what is what, or the true nature of things. Just that, to keep to this definition, it is an adequate one, and it is well to bear it in mind while one is in the course of practicing. We shall now demonstrate the validity of this definition by considering as an example the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth, which points out that all things are suffering, tells us precisely what things are like. But we fail to realize that all things are a sort of suffering. And so we desire those things. If we recognize them as a source of suffering, not worth desiring, not worth grasping at and clinging to, not worth not worth attaching themselves to, we would be sure not to desire them. The second noble truth points out that desire is the cause of suffering. กิเลสก็เป็นความอยากกิเลสตัณหาเป็นสาเหตุของความทุกข์นั่นเอง People still don't know, don't see, don't understand that desires are the cause of suffering. They all desire this, that, and the other, simply because they don't understand the nature of desire. The third noble truth points out that deliverance, freedom from suffering, nirvana, consists in the complete extinguishing of desire. People don't realize that, or that nirvana is something that may be attained at any time or place, that it can be alive at just as soon as desire has been completely extinguished. So, not knowing the facts of life, people are not interested in extinguishing desire. They are not interested in nirvana because they don't know what it is and what it is. The fourth noble truth is called the path and constitutes the method for extinguishing desire. No one understands it as a method for extinguishing desire. No one is interested in the desire extinguishing. Noble eightfold path น่าจะมักมีองค์แปด Noble eightfold path มักมีองค์แปด People don't recognize us their very point of support, their foothold, something which they ought to be most actively reinforcing. They are not interested in the Buddha's noble path, which happens to be the most excellent and precious. มีคุณค่า the precious things in the entire mass of human knowledge, in this world or any other. This is a most horrifying piece of ignorance. We can see then that the Four Noble Truths are information telling us clearly just what is what. We are told that if we play with desire, it will give rise to suffering, and yet we insist on playing with it until we are brimful of suffering. This is foolishness, not really knowing what is what or the true nature of things. We act in every way inappropriately. Our actions are appropriate or too rarely. they are usually appropriate only in terms of the values of people subject to craving. I would say that if one gets what one wants, the action must have been justified, but spiritually speaking, that action is unjustifiable. Unjustifiable. Now we shall have a look at it. A look at a stanza from the text, which sums up the essence of Buddhism, namely the words spoken by the bhikkhu Assaji, Prassaji, when he met Sariputta เมื่อเจอกับพระสารีบุตร before the letter ordination. Sariputta asked to be told the essence of Buddhism in as few words as possible. Assaji answered, all phenomena that arise to do so as a result of causes. The perfected one has shown what the causes are. And now how all phenomena may be brought to an end by eliminating those causes. This is what the great master teaches. He said, in effect, everything has causes that combine to produce it. It cannot be eliminated unless those causes have been eliminated first. This is a word of guidance warning us not to regard anything as a permanent self. There is nothing permanent. There are only effects arising out of causes, developing by virtue of causes, and due to cease with the cessation of those causes. All phenomena are merely products of causes. The world is just a perpetual flux of nature forces incessantly interacting and changing. Buddhism points out to us that all things are devoid of any self-entity. They are just a perpetual flux of change, which is inherently unsatisfactory because of the lack of freedom, the subjection to causality. This unsatisfactoriness will be brought to an end as soon as the process stops. And the process will stop as soon as the causes are eliminated so that there is no more interacting. This is a most profound account of what is what, or the nature of things, such as only an enlightened individual could give. It is the heart of Buddhism. It tells us that all things are just appearances, and that we should not be fooled into liking or disliking them. Rendering the mind truly free involves escaping completely from the the causal chain by utterly eliminating the causes. In this way, the unsatisfactory condition which results from liking and disliking will be brought to an end. Let us now examine the Buddha's intention in becoming an ascetic. What motivated him to become a bhikkhu? Since clearly indicated in one of his discourses, in which he says that he left home and became a bhikkhu in order to answer the question, what is the good? The word good, kusala, ความดีคือกุศล as used here by the Buddha, refers to skillfulness, to absolutely right knowledge. He wanted to know in a particular what is suffering, what is the cause of suffering, what is freedom from suffering, and what is the method that will lead to freedom from suffering. To attain perfect and right knowledge is the ultimate in skill. The aim of Buddhism is nothing other than this perfection of knowledge of what is what, or the true nature of things. Another important Buddhist teaching is what of the three characteristics, namely impermanent. Sentence of the day. The aim of Buddhism is nothing other than the perfection of knowledge, what is what, or the true nature of things. Another important Buddhist teaching is that of the three characteristics, namely impermanence, anicca, unsatisfactoriness, or suffering, dukkha, and non-selfhood, anatta, ความไม่มีตัวตน Not to know this teaching is not to know Buddhism. It points out to us that all things are impermanent, anicca, all things are unsatisfactory, dukkha, and all things are not selves, anatta, ความไม่มีตัวตน In saying that all things are impermanent, we mean that things change perpetually. There being no entity or self that remains unchanged for even an instant, that all things are unsatisfactory means that all things have inherent in them the property of conducting to adapting to suffering and torment ถึงหน้า25เห็นไหมเนี่ยเราหาคำ sentence หาประโยคที่เราชอบวันนี้เป็น sentence of the day นี่ตรงนี้ sentence of the day sentences of the day sentences of the day the aim of Buddhism is sentences of the day the aim of Buddhism is nothing other than this perfection of knowledge of what is what, or the true nature of things. Another important Buddhist teaching is that of the three characteristics, namely impermanence, anicca, anicca, unsatisfactoriness or suffering, dukkha, dukkha, and non-selfhood อนัตตาความไม่มีตัวตนเพราะฉะนั้นหลักคำสอนสำคัญของศาสนาพุทธก็มีสามข้อนี้เลข3คือไตรลักษณ์ใช่ไหมกฎไตรลักษณ์three characteristic ก็คืออนิจจังทุกขังอนัตตาอนิจจังก็คือความไม่คงทนถาวรมันมีการเปลี่ยนแปลงอยู่ตลอดทุกขังก็คือความทุกข์ความไม่รู้สึกพอใจสบายใจรู้สึกไม่พอใจรู้สึกไม่สบายใจแล้วก็อนัตตาก็คือความไม่มีตัวตนเพราะฉะนั้นหลักพุทธคำสอนสำคัญอีกอย่างหนึ่งของหลักของพุทธศาสนาก็คืออนิจจังทุกขังอนัตตานั่นเองกฎไตรลักษณ์ Have a good night